Okay, so we've got our AdventureWorks 2016 database restored, set up, ready to go. But before we start getting stuck into doing lots of fun queries, let's talk a little bit about what exactly is it we're working with. What is a database? Well, a database is, from a storage perspective and a data perspective, a database is basically a collection of tables. And if we go over to the left here to the Object Explorer, we can actually see these tables. If we expand the tree here under our database, we've got a whole bunch of folders. We don't need to know about most of these, but I will show you the tables. And this lists the tables, and they're all listed there. There's a few funny folders up the top that you don't need to know, but basically what we're looking there is all the tables. So what is a table? Well, you know what? I'm just going to open one up and we'll have a look at it. So I'm going to go to this funny thing here called person.person. That naming convention, I'll talk about that in a little while, but for the time being, let's just right click it inside Management Studio, and we'll go select top 1000 rows, and I'll talk about the act of selecting later on, but let's just do this just to get in and look at a table. Okay, so this is a table, and a table is essentially, it's like an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so here we've got a typical spreadsheet. Now, a spreadsheet is arranged, as I'm sure we've all seen many times, is arranged with information arranged on rows and in columns. The rows generally represent things, objects that we're collecting information about, and the columns represent the attributes or the pieces of information associated with that thing or object. So here we've got a row that is a piece of inventory, and here we've got the bits of information about it arranged in columns, the column representing that thing, initial value, date purchased, that sort of thing, all different types of bits of information. Great. Now, a table is exactly the same sort of thing. A table is essentially like an Excel spreadsheet. It's a collection of data about something that we want to track, that we want to store information about, where the rows generally represent an object or an item or some unit that we want to collect information about. So the row represents the thing, and the attributes of that thing are arranged in columns. So in this case, this is a person table. It's about people in a company, and each of those rows represents a person, and each of the columns represent a thing about that person, such as their first name, middle name, or last name. Now, and we're going to get stuck into some super technical terminology here. The rows in databases, such as these ones here, the rows, the technical term for those things are rows. How simple is that? Makes perfect sense, rows. And the columns in a table, in a database table, the technical term for that is columns. How about that? Too simple, easy to remember. Now, just to sort of cover all bases in terms of terminology here, the rows do have an alternative term, and that is records. So they can be called records or rows. You may hear the term records used in various places. But for this course, just to keep things simple, we'll stick to the term row. Columns also can have an alternative terminology, and that is fields. For this course, we'll just stick to the term columns just to keep things pretty simple. Okay, so that's basically tables.